Okay, welcome back. We're going to pick it up. We created in the last video the three on the top of the dice, and now we're going to create sketches on the other faces of this dice to get the remaining numbers on here. So to get started, we will use the create sketch. And in this case, we're going to click on this face of the dice. We're going to create a 2 over here. And we're going to use the exact same sketch to start as we did last time. Remember, we can use the pan command to drag this down and center the view. Once I'm done with that command, I can hit escape on my keyboard. And now we are ready to draw. So the tool we were using, once again, was first. So I was going to talk about offset, but first we will make sure we've clicked construction to use construction lines. And then we will go use the offset command. If for some reason you don't see it up here, you can click the modify menu and you'll get a drop down where you can see all the commands that are available in the modify menu. So in this case, offset's the one we want. We'll click again on the outside edge, and we're going to pull the little draggable scrolling control into the dice, and we'll type on our keyboard negative, very important, that's the negative number, 0.125, and we'll hit enter. And this will be the 2. So we won't bother with the diagonal line from corner to corner. We don't need it in this case. What we do need to do is turn off the construction lines and then use our circle tool. We'll draw a circle here in the upper left corner. And again, I'm going to use my keyboard to type 0.125. I'll hit enter. And then I'm going to repeat the circle command. I'll come down to the bottom right corner. I will type 0.125 and hit enter. Okay, that's all we need so we can finish the sketch. And we're back to our home view. By the way, in the bottom of your viewport here, you can see all the different operations that you've used so far to create the file that you have. Okay, you could actually come back, say you notice that you've done the 3 and you notice later that you did something wrong. You can always come back and edit things, and there's different ways to do it. This is one of them. If I decided this 3 wasn't right for some reason, I can always come and double click on this and I can go back and edit things. Okay, once I make my edits, I'll hit the finish sketch to get back out of that. In our case, we can do on this face of the dice where my cursor is, we can make that a 1. To do that, it's the same process again. So we're going to create a sketch. We're going to pick the face of the dice and we'll click on that, and we can see that we are now looking at the right side of the dice in the view cube. I'm going to center up the drawing so I can see it, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm using the controls on my mouse to do this. If you need to zoom in and zoom out, you can use this zoom function down at the bottom of the screen, all right, to zoom in and zoom out. In my case, I'm going to try to speed up the video, so I'm going to start using zoom in and zoom out on my mouse. What I'll need to do, this is the 1. I actually only need to locate one circle here in the center of the dice. I don't actually need that little offset box that we've been making, but I do need to work with a construction line. So what I'm going to do is click the construction line, and then I'll come over here and I'll click the line tool. I'm just left clicking everything. I want to go from that corner to this corner, and then, very important I remember to do this, I'm going to turn off construction line so I can make an actual circle. The circle is going to fall right on the midpoint of this line. So if I slide my cursor along the line, when I see that triangle, I know I'm at the midpoint, and that's when I'll left click. I'll drag my cursor away from that center point, and I'll type 0.125, and I'll hit enter. Okay, at that point, just because there's only one dot on this face of the dice, I'm going to finish the sketch. And I would like to look at the home view of this. Right now we've got a 3 on the top, we've got a 2 on the front, we've got a 1 on the right side. What we can do next is get a 6 on this back side of the dice that we can't see. In order to get access to that, we can come over here to the view cube and we can click that top right corner. That'll kind of spin it around for us. We could also, again, use the orbit tool if we wanted to. In this case, using the view cube is probably a little faster as we get started with Fusion 360. We are going to follow the same process again, where we are creating a new sketch, and then we're clicking this face of the dice that we want to sketch on. I'm going to drag this to center it, and I am going to start working with construction lines. Okay, a 6, that's quite a few dots, so let's use the offset and grab this outline and drag it in, and we're going to type in our familiar value of negative 0.125, and we'll hit enter. I can now, with this box as it is, place 3 dots down this line. One will be at the bottom, one will be at the top, and one will be right at the midpoint about here. And then if we did the same thing on the other side, those would be our 6 circles for our 6 dots. So we'll go, definitely want to make sure we remember to turn off construction lines, and we're going to go to the circle tool, and we'll start clicking in the center points. We're going to type 0.125, and we'll hit enter. Now, as we go, it can be a little tedious to come up here and hit the circle tool every time. So a shortcut would be, if I use my keyboard, if I type C for circle, it'll go right into the circle command. I'm going to do this middle dot, so I'm going to slide my cursor up this line until I see the triangle, and then I'll click and I'll drag my mouse just a little bit, and I'll type 0.125, and I'll hit enter. And I hit C on the keyboard again so I can create another circle, and we'll try to speed up some of these circles. We're going to go to the top right, 0.125. We're going to make a circle here, 0.125, and then one more at the bottom. So to initiate the circle command, every time I'm using C on my keyboard, and then I'm using my keyboard to type in that hard value of 0.125. Once I have those 6 circles created, I'm going to finish the sketch. And if we zoom out and orbit around, we can see at this point we've got 2 faces remaining. So we're going to do this back face here, and that will be a 5. We will come here to create a new sketch. I'm going to select that face to draw on, and we are going to go to construction lines, and we are going to go to the offset tool and grab the outside. We're going to drag that in a little bit. I'm going to put in a negative value, so negative on our keyboard, 0.125, and enter. Finally, we're going to use the line tool to create a corner-to-corner line. And now we're going to remember to turn off construction lines. I want to use my circle tool now, and I want a dot in every single corner and then one dead center. So we'll start with the center one this time. I'm going to type 0.125, enter. I'm going to type C on the keyboard, top right corner, 0.125, enter, and we'll just work our way around creating all of these 5 dots that we need. And one more on the top right, 0.125, enter. I can finish the sketch at this point, and we should only have one face to go. If we go to the home view button, that should be on the bottom of the dice, and it will be a number 4 that we'll want to create. So I could just come here to the bottom, new sketch, right on that bottom face. We'll pan that up a little bit, and we'll go to construction lines. We'll turn that on. Okay, and we will turn on construction. There was a brief pause there because the program kind of hung up for a while. we're back anyway, back in operation. So we've selected construction lines. We're going to go to offset. I'm going to grab the outside. We're going to drag it in. The value, as we know, negative 0.125, enter. And now we will turn off construction lines. We're going to go back to the circle tool, and we're making one in each corner of this offset box. So 0.125, bottom left, 0.125, enter, top right, type in the value, and one more time. Okay, finish sketch, and if we go to the home view, we can see now that we should have a sketch on every single face. So I'll start to orbit around. I can use the orbit tool if I so desire, and I can just double check my work, make sure everything's good. A quick check you can make is if you add the opposite faces of the dice together. So for instance, where my cursor is right now, I'm looking at a 5. It should always add up to 7 with the opposite face. So if I move over to the opposite face, I can see that's a 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. That checks out. So quick check over here, if I want to look at the 1, if I rotate that dice 180 degrees, I should see a 6, so that those two values end up to 7. Okay, we'll end up the video, we will end the video there, and we'll pick it up in the next video where we'll give some depth to these dots that we've created.